Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. As today, with the more colorful of our camp conversations concluded, we turn our attention to the more doggedly dogmatic amongst our pack. Starting, I think, with Argenta, who's gone completely silent since our bombshell reveal, like she hasn't interacted with any of the events since. So I am curious to see if she might have some sort of follow-up for us. After which, of course, we'll get to know our stray space wolf, and then if we've got time left over, guess we'll get ourselves geared up, ready to go.
Rogue Trader. Being reunited with the Emperor's Chosen is a balm to my soul.
Huh. Okay, well, apparently this is going to be quicker than I anticipated, because she has just completely put it out of mind, it would seem. Which, I suppose, to be fair, is very much in character with her. She's very much a fire-and-forget sort of person. So while she might have been stewing over killing Mort, if not Theodora, I suppose once she actually confessed and put it out in the open, that gnawing sense of guilt has faded. I do hope we get a proper follow-up at some point, though it could just be that it was less about the killings for her and more just about keeping it a secret in the first place. So, Argenta, in our time here, have you learned anything that might come in handy?
I have made no attempt to do so. What need do I have to know of the depravity of the enemies of humanity? And all I want is to burn it all in pure, raging flame. I already know all I need to. This place is evil. But there are servants of the Emperor here worthy of salvation.
Cool, right. But, I mean, you realize we do need to learn about this place to an extent to provide salvation to said worthy servants, correct?
We do. And I swear to fight for that end, and not to lose hope, even when deceit, corruption, and treachery surround us on all sides.
Okay, well, good luck with that, I guess. Thanks, Argenta. It's been illuminating.
May Terra's light be with you, Rogue Trader.
Okay, well, not really sure what I was expecting from her, but somehow that was even less. I will say, though, in just poking around the camp to see if there was anything else we needed to get done, I did notice apparently they've refilled our Shrieker's arsenal here. Which is weird, because I'm not sure if it's supposed to restock, since at a glance you'll notice that about 60% of this stuff is duplicate items, including a few particular oddities, like the gladiator mesh armor that we got from Tervantius, the headhunter light carapace that we were actually wearing when we first came here, which we also still do have in our inventory. I swapped it out for the Commissar's flak breastplate. But then there are also new items. These three right here. The Commander's Notes, which doubles the effectiveness of Command Locus. Definitely not something we've picked up before, because we do have Command Locus. I would have actually considered using it. As well as this Shard of Bloodstone, which inflicts additional bleeding to all enemies within 3 cells for each effect they're currently under. Which does sound like it might go pretty well with Kibbles once we've reunited with her. And the Intendant Boots, which grants +2 MP and +20% dodge for a single turn each time you use a consumable. Easily the most underwhelming of those 3 items, but still something we definitely have not seen before. But then we're right back into duplicate items with the Sharpshooter Boots, the Soldier Aquila. Actually, is that one a duplicate? sharpshooter boots definitely are, because I've got those on Earliet as well. Infliction of Perplexed when making ranged attacks at point-blank range. I don't remember if we've seen this one before. But this, though, the Sword Dancer Cloak, that is definitely a duplicate. We've got another one right here. So yeah, I'm not entirely sure what to make of that. Considering the weird blend of not just duplicate items that we previously pulled from the same chest, but also random items we have in our inventory, supplemented by new items as well. I'm not complaining. I'm certainly happy to get more loot, especially the new stuff. It's just a notable oddity, though I suppose certainly not the first one we've encountered in our time here. Anyway, let's go chat up Ulfar.
Let us raise our cups at Fatar, in honor of deeds accomplished and in expectation of those yet to come.
I'm sorry, did you just call me Eddie Vedder? Huh. Didn't take you for a Pearl Jam fan. Would have figured more Duran Duran.
This is the name given on Fenris to a pack father, a commander or captain. An Ed Fatar answers to a Jarl, the commander of a great company. Since you are the one who commands your crew, and I follow you at present, I am granting you the honored title of Ed Fatar.
Well, I'm honored, if ever so slightly suspicious of your sudden pivot.
Be worthy of it, and see that you do not disgrace this glorious rank.
Yeah, I'll certainly try. So, tell me, Ulfar, considering how resistant you were to joining up with us, you must have had your own escape plan in the works. Would you mind sharing?
I have had a few thoughts on that score, but don't try to pry them out of me. When the time comes, I will share them with you.
The giant space marine casts you a sidelong look, grinning broadly. Wily self-satisfaction is writ large across his harsh features, although he tries to hide it. Despite his worthy attempt to play the fool, the Space Wolf cannot deceive you. Ulfar does not fully trust you, and is carefully observing your reaction. And there it is. Okay, yeah, I knew it felt like a bit much when he immediately pivoted to the showy display of respect. Dude was threatening to kill us like 20 minutes ago. Sure, sounds great. So, anyway, Ulfar, tell me, would these secrets you're keeping have anything to do with why we found you devouring your Drukhari attendants?
Why do you think?
The giant space marine inquires innocently, baring his teeth. The omophagia is clearly involved here, the genetic gift granted to the Astartes by the Emperor. This organ links the brain and stomach of a space marine, allowing him to absorb information from the genetic code of any flesh he consumes. Huh. Kind of puts a whole new twist on you are what you eat. The omophagia, correct?
You are very well informed. Far more than a common mortal ought to be. Yes, it is true that I have gorged on the flesh of my enemies to reap the secrets from the steaming flavor of their meat. I have slain many Xenos and feasted on their flesh. My captors have watched me do it and taken glee in it, while I have been gathering information and planning my escape.
Gross. I feel like that would come with some pretty natural hazards against some enemies, like Tyranids? You know, the infectious sort? Well, I have heard many a legend of space marines, but perhaps not the space wolves in particular. I don't suppose you could enlighten me.
Not everyone is granted the right to ask such questions. But you... I shall allow it. What do you want to know about the Astartes from the glorious Fenris?
Well, why don't we just start with the basics? Who are the Space Wolves?
Vilka Fenrika. That is our name in the old tongue of our world. We are the fiercest of the All-Father's warriors. His executioners. His retribution.
His guttural pronouncement sounds primordial and ruthless.
Our fearless Wolf King is Leman Russ, son of the All-Father. Our world is Fenris, and our home the Fang, which rises from the world's spine into orbit. We are the thunder in the bloody storm of battle that calls to us. That is who we are.
Ulfar's rumbling voice seems to reverberate in your very bones. Cool. Glory to the Space Wolves. Glory to the Wolves of Fenris. Smiling in satisfaction, the wolf graces you with a magnanimous nod.
But there is more to our spirit than grim destruction alone. In the Hall of Heroes, we hold feasts the likes of which you will see nowhere else. To thundering laughter, we raise our horns, tell our sagas, and honor our glorious fallen. Though the body of an Astartes is built to be immune to the effects of drink, we invented a way around this taboo. The mead we brew can overcome even our blood. It makes us drunk, and makes our feasts jovial occasions. Mead. You can brew it nowhere else but on good old Fenris. No other world is home to such poisonous plants.
Ulfar's voice drops to a conspiratorial whisper. Yeah, deliberately poisoning yourself certainly does sound fun, he said facetiously, as if people didn't do that all the time. So Fenris, what's it like? I can't say I've been.
Fenris is home. A harsh land of harsh winters and harsh people. When comes the Hellwinter, a fearsome season of frosts, the merciless world sea freezes, and great white bears, snow wyrms, and ice trolls go on the hunt. Then the murderous frost retreats, and boats of harpooners sail out to ply their craft, capturing sea snakes and krakens.
The giant's gaze thaws.
And then comes the season of fire. Volcanoes awaken. Waves wash over whole islands, and only the land of Asaheim offers salvation to those whose blood and grit win them the right to live upon it. Clan fights clan, crows circle over battlefields, and wolf howls rise up to the sky. That is my beloved home. There is no place in the universe like it.
Ulfar concludes wistfully.
Tell me, Edfator, what is the most fearsome foe on Fenris?
A wily glint appears in Ulfar's eyes. Fenris is known as a death world for good reason. There must be dozens of lethal creatures that inhabit the planet. But which is more fearsome, than all the rest. I mean, I've never been, but I'm going to say the space wolves themselves. That certainly seems to be the implication here. So, humanity? That's a pretty stereotypical Twilight Zone answer. Or would they count themselves as wolves? I'm going to say, man?
It is true that humans are more dangerous than any animal, but true terror does not come garbed in familiar flesh and blood. The curse of the Wolfen is the most fearsome and most terrible foe on Fenris. In the heart of every brother, there lives a dark beast, bloody and forever ravenous. He hungers to kill, not for glory or duty, or his battle brothers, but solely for the sake of killing. For he who falls to that dark beast, there is no joy or thrill in slaughter. There is but dull rancor.
The guttural roar of a storm rumbles in the wolf's voice. Right, so I probably should have said wolves then. I gotta say, Ulfar, from everything I have heard about Space Marines, the Angels of the Empire, never really pictured you looking quite this primordial.
Our gene seed is unique. Leroynukenson blessed us with the Canis Helix, a genetic gift that heightens our senses, making them sharper than those of brothers from other chapters. The Canis Helix kindles a bloodthirst in our hearts and changes our appearance to resemble the lethal wolves of Fenris.
Isn't there something taboo about augmenting the human form with non-human genetics? I feel like that's something we really get kind of hung up on.
The wolves do not take orders from outsiders. We keep the old ways, not the Codex Astartes. We fight in packs, and we are trained and healed by our wise rune and wolf priests. We do not find honor in adorning ourselves in laurels, but instead etch the full names of our fallen kin as a promise of vengeance, and draw strength from that promise.
Interesting. So less Romulus and Remus and more the wolves that raised them. So wait, do you even worship the Emperor?
We believe in the great wolves, in the deadly Blackbane and fierce Drakon the Thunderwolf, in the redoubtable Hagar the Mountain Wolf, and in the bloodied Hunter. In the wolf that stalks between stars, who follows us wherever we may go. And in the uncanny two-headed Morkai, guard of the realm of the dead. Of the great wolves, some show us their favor. Others are more malign. But each teaches us a lesson. For that, we praise and honor them.
Okay, well first I'm going to say Gork and Morkai would make a fantastic, unlikely buddy comedy. But also, that sounds like a pretty heavily packed pantheon. Where exactly does the Emperor fit into all that?
The All-Father is not a god. He is the best of all humans, our perfect forebear. His blood flowed through the veins of Leroynukenson, and Russ's blood flows in me. Does that make me a god? My respect for him has no end, and I am ready to die for him. But what place does faith have here? Is the All-Father like the massive Iron Wolf, whose every tuft of fur forms a mountain on the surface of Fenris.
Ulfar heaves his mighty shoulders.
Or is he as enormous as the sun wolf, which rises to hunt every morning and fills our world with light? The All-Father is not a god, but the highest of humanity. Ordinary humans struggle to grasp this. But we, his warriors and offspring, remember the truth.
Huh. I mean, I've got to say, that sounds an awful lot like heresy, but I am merely a tourist in this very colorful setting. Though I suppose perhaps not the first time we've seen that kind of divine dichotomy. The tech priests and their praise for the Omnissiah, for example. I see. Fascinating.
It is difficult for non-Fenrisians to grasp our wisdom. It comes along with the cold and death.
Sure, I'll bet. So hey, wait, if you don't worship the Emperor, then how exactly do your rune priests work? Where does their power come from? I assume they are still capable of conjuring up miracles?
Lacan the Ruined Wolf once shared the mysteries of the healing potions and the secrets of magic sagas. He taught them to see the past and future in thrown runes, to call down storms, and to carve powerful talismans.
You suddenly feel a whisper of something menacing radiating from Ulfar. A necklace of various formidable-looking teeth hangs around his neck, and the teeth are carved with intricate runes. Oh, so like psychic totems, I guess. Albeit obfuscated by ritualistic trappings. What's that?
The All-Father gifted you with strong intuition. This was made by Skjati Twice-Thinker. The spirits liked him, and one could feast a whole long Hellwinter night to the words of his saga. So keen was his mind. He was my friend.
Ulfar's face, lit a moment ago with ruthless pride, seems to darken as if a shadow passed across it. Sure, something tied to how he ended up here, no doubt. You said that full names grant strength, and yet I know you only as Ulfar. Might I know the rest?
Ulfar Redmane. That is what my brothers call me.
Ulfar replies after a moment of silence. Interesting, like he's ashamed of it. The primitive culture of Fenris could well have bestowed such a simple and banal name upon Ulfar. There's nothing to wonder at here. All you feel is pity for the Space Wolf. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and push X to doubt. And perhaps F to pay respect? I see.
Do you? And there I was, about to round off my story with a short 400-verse saga about the gifts of Lacan the Ruined Wolf.
I mean, hey, I haven't walked away yet. You want to go for it, knock yourself out. But, I will say my curiosity on the subject has been largely satisfied.
Should what I told you reach other ears, I shall take your tongue.
Ulfar leans towards you with a friendly, only slightly feral grin. Hey, there he is. There's the caged beast I remember. So tell me, Ulfar, how exactly did someone like you end up in a place like this?
What do you want to know? What brought the Space Wolves to the Expanse? Or how I ended up in the non-human's Dark City?
Why not both? But, we'll start with one and then move on to the other. What brought you to the Coronis in the first place? He asked, as if he didn't already know.
An Inquisitor by the name of Kalkazar put out a call for aid. My Wolf Lord did not refuse him, and had 2 packs deployed to the Expanse. We never trusted this ally, but a blood debt for a service rendered in the past forced our hand.
Okay. Though it wields immense power when it comes to the Astartes, even the Inquisition chooses to make requests rather than commands. The Space Wolves are not known for being close allies of the Inquisition. How strange, then, that the chapter sent not 1 but 2 squads in response to this request, when 1 squad alone is capable of crushing a planetary uprising. 2 packs, that feels a mite bit excessive. Must have been quite a debt you owed. Or perhaps there was other reason?
Insightful. We'd had no dealings with this Kalkazar before this, and we did not trust him. 2 packs meant twice as many eyes to watch out for his games and schemes. And then...
His face splits into a wolfish grin.
The Coronis Expanse is a wild hunting ground teeming with prey. And the Space Wolves will be the first to turn its snow scarlet. The Jarl decided to send the most indomitable hunters who hunger for honor and bloodshed. 1 pack would have fulfilled its duty for the sake of pride, but 2 would seek to outdo each other for the sake of glory.
Sure, yeah, fostering a sense of competition. I do still wonder at that debt, though. Didn't you just say you hadn't dealt with him before?
He saved our brother who had lost the pack and was unable to look after himself or the chapter's honor. Kalkazar returned our brother to Fenris and kept secret the misfortune that had befallen him. The Jarl knew that the Inquisitor's actions were driven by opportunism and the desire to have us mighty warriors in his debt. But honor forced him to be hospitable to the stranger and swear an oath of friendship.
Ulfar says, his voice cagey. Yeah, I've gotten a bit of a taste of that myself. But tell me, why would honorable Space Wolves not trust a High Lord Inquisitor?
The Inquisition. Pah! Rats! Scurrying around the Allfather's house and ruling it in the Master's absence. Cowards they are. The last into battle, but the first on any war council. We saw what they were worth in the months of shame.
You know what, Ulfar? I think you and I might just get along. You know the story. After the first war for Armageddon, in which the Space Wolves and the forces of Armageddon fought off the terrifying incursion of the archenemy, the Inquisition ordered that the heinous event be covered up and the planet's mortal defenders be thrown into labor camps and sterilized. The Wolves defended their erstwhile comrades and evacuated many people to Fenris. The confrontation ended in a bloody massacre, and the courts of the Inquisition have not appeared in Fenris's system ever since. Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, as someone who's had dealings with the Lord Inquisitor himself, I think I might agree with your assessment.
We also decided to be cautious. His words flowed like honey, and he seemed an honorable man. But lies always look like truth, don't they? That arrogant chief thought he could give us orders. But we wolves have always followed our own instincts and hunted in our own way. I wager that boiled his blood.
Yeah, he doesn't take well to people challenging his authority. But at the same time, he also doesn't want to risk overplaying his hand, because then he loses his pawns. I don't suppose you know what he's actually trying to do out here.
In warm furs, the old man does shroud his body. In cloaks of secrets woven, shrouds the sly man his plans. To know his dire purpose, swallow not the words of poison, but his gristle.
Sure, yeah, if I ever find a piece of him, I'll be sure to send it your way. So how about more recent events? How exactly did you end up here?
We had gone on a raid for Xenos prisoners and fell into a trap. We had no war machines to support us, and some of our squad were wounded, so we were forced to retreat. I ordered my battle brothers to leave, but I remained behind to meet our guests. I do not know how many of the feeble wretches I slew, but I would have killed even more had their towering piles of bodies not hindered me in combat.
Okay, yeah, that more or less matches our speculation based on his earlier embellished saga.
They wounded me and captured me. They froze the joints in my armor. When they dragged me to their ship, 2 of my battle brothers descended upon the Xenos and tried to free me. An insane plan, but it almost succeeded. Almost. And so, there were 3 of us taken captive. And then there were 2. And then I was alone once again.
A grimace of pain is fixed on Ulfar's face, which is shadowed with grief. Right, Tervantius did mention there were others. What were their names?
Their saga is one I will not sing to you. You have spilled no blood with them, nor shared with them meat unmewed. Their spirits might be outraged if they knew I had sung of their deeds to a stranger.
Ulfar pins you with an icy glance that sparks something within you. Awareness of the monstrous chasm separating you and the ancient superhuman standing opposite. Hey, that's fair. I just wanted to pay my respects. But they are gone, I take it?
They fell with honor.
So likely in the arena as opposed to on an operating table? Well, regardless of the specifics, I'm sorry they died. They sound like good men.
Yes, so am I.
Anything else you'd like to share about your time since arriving in this dark city?
These are dark days you are asking about, Edvater. Let my keen-edged friend be a witness to the ferocity of my words.
Ulfar draws out the rune-covered knife that you saw him carry in the Dark City, and begins to spin it between his fingers, finding his equilibrium again.
I was given to Tarvantius for his amusement in the arenas of Camorra. Astartes are a rarity, and he sent me out there to kill gladiators. Living as an inglorious butcher and a Xenos' puppet, I hated it constantly, every moment. I had to take care of my mind before it was twisted to the seven hells.
With every word, the bitterness and hostility in Ulfar's voice grows. After roaring and raging in Fenrisian for a time, Ulfar catches his breath.
Every morning I made entreaties to the Allfather, and every night I appealed to Ross. I trained my body, read the litanies, and in the darkest moments, I recited my own saga. I recalled every battle, every wound, every brother. And that is how I survived. I always survive.
The red-haired space wolf fixes you with a fierce glower, and then turns away. Understood.
This was a bleak saga, Edvator.
So what about the man behind the wolf? Ulfar Redmane.
Instinct bids me to remain silent. Such knowledge is not to be shared with just anyone. Only those who possess my complete trust.
Ulfar sucks in a breath, tasting your scent. Sure, yeah. Can't really blame you there. All right, Ulfar, it has been interesting. Thanks for your time.
Fenris Hjolda, Edvator.
Eddie Redmayne? You know, I'm sure I've said it before, but outside of just dabbling with 3rd edition, my primary exposure to the setting comes through the spin-off games like Gorka Morka and Necromunda, because I always kind of found the Space Marines to be one of the less interesting aspects of the setting. Though I'll also say, you know, Ulfar is intriguing. Also, apparently he's a soldier. Huh. That is not what I would have expected based on our interactions with him thus far. And not just a soldier, but a soldier arch-militant. That does kind of lean away from the sort of Abelard-style build I was thinking of for him, and more into... Well, I'll have to study his stats here, but more of an Argenta-style build, albeit focused on dual wielding rather than heavy weapons. Yeah, he's definitely locked into Arch-Militant, which is an archetype I have largely tried to avoid, considering I heard it was significantly overpowered, though perhaps not when you're also dealing with a largely pre-built foundation like the one that Ulfar is working with. Though again, I'll have to study the specifics before I can say that for certain. Stat-wise, I notice he is specialized in awareness and carouse. That does make sense, considering what he told us during our extended conversation. And then gear-wise, he is definitely very limited, which is something that we somewhat feared going into it. Though I do still see a fair few options here. Plus, of course, his own unique gear as well. That's it. We'll hit the pause button for now. I'll start poring over the details here. Suggestions are, of course, welcome. And we'll pick up here next time, as we return to the arena once more with Space Wolf in tow. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie V23, Revenant, Alois, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you can even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.
It comes along with the cold and death.